30. Gryph swam as his body and mind relaxed. He had survived. He had won. Above him, he could see the dim light of the surface. He kicked his legs harder, relishing the thought of feeling fresh air on his face again, even if fresh was a matter of degree. He laughed aloud as his exhalations pushed through the halo to become bubbles of air. He imagined that when they broke the surface, the sound of his laughter would echo around the chamber like they did in the cartoons he watched as a kid. The surface was close now, and Gryph kicked harder. He was exhausted and wanted to be free of this watery prison. He pumped his arms and legs again as ease flowed into his mind. Then something punched into the back of his head with a wet thud. Waves of pain erupted in his mind, and he lost control of his body. Psychic threads of hate, anger, and hunger delved into his mind. Part of him was aware of a debuff, but it felt as if it belonged to someone else. Debuff. You have been poisoned with Arboleth larval toxin. Thought resistance reduced by 80%. Possession. Your body is no longer your own. You are now controlled by an outside influence. 5-minute cooldown. Gryph filled with terror, but his mind could find no focus. He was an observer. He felt drunk, ecstatic, without a care in the world. As he breached the surface of the water, an oily stain of incomprehensible thoughts flowed over him. He tried to focus on them, but they tasted of acid. Through the rancid spiraling, a thought came to him. This is for the best. You are becoming greater. You are becoming prime. Inky fingers of wrath oozed from the prime, grasping and tearing at Gryph's mind. Slowly, bits of him were being flayed and consumed. Gryph was becoming something else. He tried to find himself, some core of who he was to cling on to, even if it were for a few moments. But he felt his light dimming. Soon he would be prime. What was it doing to him? Fear bit into Gryph, and he could feel the alien presence rejoice. Gryph began to disappear. Alien thoughts spread through him, replacing his own. He knew that he should be terrified, but his thoughts were distant, as if he were being summoned to a permanent sleep. The prime was consuming all that he was. What is fear? The colonel said from the deepest recesses of his memory. His mind found some measure of calm as the memory of his father's earliest lesson came to him. The colonel despised intellectual sloth and believed in the power of books to expand the mind. He had given Finn a well-worn copy of Frank Herbert's Dune on his 10th birthday and made him memorize the famous litany against fear. He turned his internal gaze to the prime and showed the alien entity what it meant to be a Caldwell. He rushed the prime, fury and purpose beating the infection back into the deepest part of his mind. Somehow, he knew he couldn't exercise it, but he could lock it away. He sealed the mental prison, and the alien presence howled in rage. It beat itself against the fortifications of Gryph's mind, slowly chipping away at their protection. A spike of pain exploded exploded into the back of his head, and a terrible scream erupted from his throat. It was both his own voice and the Prime. His body pitched forward, but his mind departed before the body hit the ground. An arrow pierced both larva and brainstem, and the distant part of him that still existed sped down the tunnel of light. As Gryph's lifeless body hit the sand of the island, a distant voice spoke. "Thank you."